I was faced with a choice which I never should have had.
She was crying like I had never heard a woman cry before in my life.
And I just cried for weeks and weeks. Everything reminded me of a baby.
And I kept trying to get up from the table and look to see what was in that jar.
I was dealing with the loss of my unborn child and I didn't even know it.
I believe that my life was spared that night just so that I could be here right now and say abortion hurts women.
Whisper, be silent no more.
Welcome to Faces of Abortion. I'm your host, Cindy Collins, and today we have a very special women's show with our special guest host, Molly White. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, we're very excited about you being here with our second women's show on Faces of Abortion. I know that today we have Nona, who is going to be our studio guest, and we also have Stacy, that's going to be talking to us about the effect of rape on her life and also the effect of abortion on her life because of that rape. And now we want to go ahead and listen to Stacy's story in her own words.
1%. That's what they told me, 1% of people that were raped had abortions. It was me. I was at a party at a military base in El Toro. I was married and separated from my husband. We were having some problems, and I went to this party, and this cute Marine told me he drove me home. I had been drinking because I had found out that my husband was involved with my best friend, and it was really impacting my life at the time. So anyway, I went to this party, and this Marine drove me home, but on the way home, he stopped by the barracks. And we went in to get his jacket, and 2 hours later I came out and I had been raped. It was hard. I mean, really hard. I was married. I had a 2-year-old at home. I was living with my mom because my husband and I were split up, and here I was the victim of a rape. Anyway, that was hard enough. But then 6 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Okay, now what do I do? You know, I'm pregnant, I'm married to a man, by rape. I mean, what do I do? I had had an abortion at 18, and I had a living son at home. He was 2. And I never thought I would have another abortion, ever. I knew what was happening in my womb when you were pregnant. I knew that baby grew into a baby. I saw my son be born. But I did it anyway. I went through it again. And if I could tell any woman in the world who was raped, that 1% of women that get pregnant from a rape, don't make yourself a victim a second time. Just don't do it. There's so many other options out there. I could have raised my baby by myself. I had the abortion thinking that it would save my marriage. It didn't save my marriage. My ex-husband's married to my ex-best friend. So not only did I lose my husband and my dignity through a rape, but then I lost my baby, my third baby. Recovery changed my life. I couldn't be sitting here today without it, and I know you think I'm crying, and well, she doesn't look very recovered. But I am. Because prior to this, it wasn't just tears. It was alcohol and drugs and suicide attempts. Recovery changed my life. The Lord changed my life. So if you're out there and you've been raped, get help. There's rape counselors all over the country. Call one. If you're pregnant from a rape, go to a crisis pregnancy center, optionline.org, and ask them for help. And if you've already aborted from a rape, call the National Helpline and get help. Find Jesus. He'll change your life.
You've just listened to Stacy's story and the effect of abortion on her life because of a rape. You could see the tears in her eyes and the importance of her expression of going through recovery after abortion and seeking help. If you have experienced abortion and possibly have even gone through rape, we want to encourage you to call the National Helpline for Abortion Recovery at 1-866-482-LIFE. There is a woman on the other end of that line that wants to listen to you, hear your story, offer help and hope and prayer. And I know, Molly, that you and I together as post-abortive women and women who have worked with other women in abortion recovery, we have heard stories and testimonies just like Stacy's powerful testimony.
That's right, and I commend her for sharing openly about rape and then getting pregnant from rape and how that ended in abortion, even though she really didn't want to, because that's a very difficult subject to talk about. But the important thing is that if a woman goes through any kind of sexual assault, she needs to get help and she needs to get recovery for that. And there was a friend of mine who was conceived in rape, and her statement was that the trauma of rape will never be healed by the trauma of abortion. It only escalates the emotions and the trauma that women go through. So we do want to encourage women who may get pregnant out of rape or are pregnant out of rape to seek recovery for the rape and help to get through her pregnancy and bring that child into the world.
That's right, Molly, because we saw with Stacy that if she would have been offered that help and that hope through possibly a pregnancy resource center that can refer to rape crisis centers, and there's a lot of help to carry that woman through during that time of trauma where she at first is the victim from that rape, but then she doesn't want to go through that process of making her child be the victim because of abortion. A woman needs compassionate, caring answers during that time.
Because that baby's hers too. It's not just the child of the perpetrator. That's her baby too. And the abortion industry, or those who are pro-abortion, think that, you know, rape or abortion is the answer to a pregnancy conceived out of rape, but they never consider the after effect that abortion has on women, and they never consider that that baby is hers too. You know, it's not just his. So the kindest and most compassionate thing that we can do as society is come along beside her, help her deal with that terrible trauma of being sexually assaulted, and then help her bring her baby into the world. And she can parent that baby with love and support from her family and community, or she can place that baby for adoption. Both of those are very life-affirming and positive answers to a terrible situation.
You know, Molly, just with us sitting here and we're talking woman to woman, and there may be a woman that's listening to us right now that is in a crisis pregnancy. Maybe she has even had an abortion because of rape. I'd like for you just to go ahead and address that woman, speak to her from your heart in encouraging her to seek help.
Okay. You know, I've been there. I've been date raped, I've had sexual trauma, I've conceived children outside of marriage, and I've had abortions. And all of those were very traumatizing, life-changing events in my life. And if you're in that situation, I encourage you to call our helpline number, to speak to someone. You need to get that out and have someone that you can trust to talk to. That's the first step